Good morning, everyone. It is 8:03 a.m. Chicago time, Thursday, July 24th, 2014. Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. My personal opinions, market data, and recommendations are subject to change without notice. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Quick look at the news overnight, mainly driven by eco releases. China July prelim HSBC manufacturing PMI beats consensus at 52.0 versus 51.0. That caused a quick move on the overnight session. And then the Eurozone, or the German June preliminary manufacturing beats 55.9. That's a pretty big beat versus consensus. 53.8. PMI services beats 56.6 versus 54.5. Eurozone June preliminary manufacturing is at 51.9 versus 51.7, so slightly better. PMI services beats 54.4 versus 52.7 expected. In other news, EU diplomats will consider large Russian sanctions today, including proposal to ban all Europeans from purchasing any debt or stock issued by Russia's largest banks. Overnight, Nokia, among others, Nokia is a large component of the Eurostoxx 50. Nokia and Dassault Systèmes reported overnight, and both stocks popped up plus 5%, again supporting the move up overnight, the recovery from the low that was put in after the number that came out at 9:00 p.m. Central Time. U.S. initial claims came in at 284,000 versus 307 versus 307,000, and continuing claims came in at 2.5 million versus 2.510 million. The beat on initial claims was slightly significant. Looking at today, Chicago. Looking at today for additional releases, we have at 8:45 we have the U.S. Market manufacturing PMI July prelim expected at 57.3, price 57.5, price 57.3. It's a number that has been popping up over the last 8 or 9 months. And then at 9:00 Central, we have new home sales expecting negative 5.8% and 475,000. And then at 9:30, we have EIA natural gas expecting 94 billion cubic feet. And then at 10:00, we have a low importance number, which is the Kansas City Fed expecting 6. And that'll be it for the news releases for the day. Let's look at the charts. So yesterday opened. Let's look at my trigger chart here. Yesterday opened right on the edge of value and range. Took out that I talked about a weak double top left behind on Tuesday. It would help if you went back to my YouTube page and looked at yesterday's video to see how things went versus what was outlined in the video, just to compare how this works, and essentially coming up with a hypothesis and then seeing how the market reacts to it, and then taking your trades from that position of strength, I feel. So yesterday the expectation was for responsive selling down, and then a choppy open, responsive selling down, and then eventually the market would likely make new highs. And what it did, actually, we didn't get responsive selling immediately. We ended up pushing through and taking out the double top. Excuse me, taking out the double top at 80.50. by 2 ticks, and then rotating back in down to 78.50, which is the point of control. You see we bounced here a little bit to 79.50, and then it pushed through. And my expectation was that we would get responsive selling down to 77, 76.50, which is a closing swing high. 76.50, and then it would find a base and then start to move back up, and it pushed through by a little bit more than what I expected, but the general plan is the same. It got down to 75.75, almost to the edge of value here at 75.50, and then started to move up. Remember, we still have a gap below. You see this gap here, 73.75 to 70, and a gap closed still open below us. So we have a weak structure below us still, but we are pushing new highs, and that's the driving context for now. And then the rest of the afternoon essentially built built a very tight formation, a very, very pointy point of control. So the expectation with this point of control, the way it is, this is called kurtosis in statistics. When you have a large sample of your data that's concentrated in a small range. And the expectation was that since it pushed down into the OS low and came back above the IB, the expectation was this kurtosis, or this energy, or all these contracts that were traded up here, a lot of them, see fairly big numbers, 102,000 traded at the point of control. The expectation was for it to continue higher into the close. It didn't. It ended up selling off just a bit back into the prior day's high at 80.50. And then closing. The overnight session. The overnight session, fairly quiet, little spike here on the China release, and then and it just floated downwards, but then pushed back up on the numbers out of Europe. A lot of positive numbers out of Europe to leave us with the overnight session, to leave us with a point of control that is actually higher than the prior day's range. So the overnight point of control is higher. The overnight session accepting price is higher, and leaving us with another weak high up here. The volume overnight is in line, so there's a fair amount of participation still. It's not one of those sleepy nights. It is earnings season, but look at that high. Look at how it drops off. So we have 4,000 contracts trading at one tick below the high, 407 at the top. There is no taper here. The expectation is that this is a weak high, and it'll likely get taken out early in the session today. Overnight inventory is likely to be long, and so we're looking for a we still have to again look for responsive selling on the open. And responsive selling is likely to take it back to 82, 81 to find a base and then continue out on the high. If not, then we are opening at the point of control. The market, though, lately has been making a move right after I closed the trader bite. It seems to take away the most obvious feature that needs to be tested, that's likely to be tested. It's tending to take that out between the time I close the trader bite and the open. So we'll see how that works, what happens here today. But that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for responsive selling back to 82, 81. Sorry, I have a really sore throat. 82, 81, and I'm expecting it to base for a continued higher high call. The target above is 87. Now I have a couple new targets, and I found a confluence target here at 2050 and 2001 quarter by projecting this last swing above. So we have some confluence here at the 2000, obviously the century number, plus you have a double measured move high at that location. Okay, but the next measured move target is 87.75. I could get into other hypotheses, but at this point, my guess is you can come up with those. Opens test a shallow test to 82.75. Notice the 82.75 held several times yesterday. A test to 82.75, chop, 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 and push, take out the high, the overnight high and the week high, and go for 87.75 would be the second hypothesis. My expectation, however, is for it to pull back a little bit deeper than that. We'll see what happens. The third expectation is for it to take out the high early, try to push, and then fall back in and test the entire value area. That's hypothesis number 3, down to 79 even, which is the value area low here. And then 4 and 5 are just variations on that. So that's what I have for you. Again, headline risk is elevated. And as always, keep your risk first, and that's it. For those of you who attended the Convergence Tuesday event last Tuesday with Stephen Kelly, there were a lot of questions that arose by the way he looked at liquidity coming in and out of the market, and several other things he talked about. So I'm actually working on getting him back on to kind of get into more specifics about how he's reading that, the order flow and the liquidity coming in and out of the market. So I'll announce that and send the link out when that gets scheduled. Please note though that on Monday I will not be here. It's a holiday for me. I will not be here on Monday, and I'll be traveling on Tuesday, so I'll attempt to do a Trader Bite on Tuesday morning, but I'm spending the whole day traveling with my kids. My kids are with me now for the summer, so the scheduling gets a little bit more complicated. Thanks for listening in, and thanks for your support, and we'll talk soon. Take care.